Pope Liberius once excommunicated a saint for refusing to shake hands with heresy, and one bishop says the same thing is happening to the SSPX today. That bishop is Athanasius Schneider, and he's not just drawing a loose comparison. He's laying out, point by point, why history might remember the SSPX the same way it remembers the saint he's named after. Let's start with the history most Catholics never learned in school. Back in the 4th century, Pope Liberius excommunicated Saint Athanasius. Why? Because Athanasius refused to enter into communion with Arian and semi-Arian bishops who either endorsed heresy or went along with it quietly. Here's the twist Bishop Schneider points out. Under today's Code of Canon Law, Athanasius himself would technically be labeled a schismatic. He refused communion with bishops who were canonically recognized by Rome, even though those bishops were teaching heresy. Schneider uses this exact history to reframe how we should look at the SSPX's own episcopal consecrations and the Vatican censure of them today. So what's the actual conflict for the SSPX? Schneider says it comes down to a brutal choice. Preserve the Catholic faith clearly and unambiguously, or be canonically recognized by the Pope. One of Rome's conditions for recognizing the SSPX is that they fully accept the Second Vatican Council and the new Mass, doctrinal ambiguities included. But then something else catches Schneider's attention, a second historical precedent. Pope Honorius I once issued letters that were doctrinally ambiguous. What happened to them? They were later firmly condemned, not by one pope, but by 3 separate ecumenical councils. So why does that matter now? Because Schneider says the Church has quietly convinced itself that no conflict can ever arise between obeying the Pope and protecting the purity of the faith. He calls that idea historically false. He also names 2 specific problems he sees driving this: legalism, treating man-made law as absolute, and papalism, treating the Pope's authority as absolute in every situation. Schneider even uses a parable to make it concrete. Firefighters using tested, effective methods get punished by the fire chief for not switching to newer, less effective ones, even as they're the ones actually saving the house. Here's Schneider's real point, stated as plainly as a bishop can say it. Obedience to the Pope is being treated as equal to obedience to God's own revelation. That's the danger he's naming. He argues true communion with the Church was never meant to be reduced to just obeying the Pope. It requires the same faith, the same sacraments, and legitimate pastors together. And he closes by quoting St. Augustine, describing good men driven out by turbulence who never form their own factions, but who defend the faith to the death from wherever they stand, waiting quietly for the storm to pass. Whether or not you agree with Schneider's comparison, one thing is clear. The Church has faced this exact tension before, with saints on both sides of it. Do you think the SSPX's situation today mirrors what Athanasius faced centuries ago? Tell me your take in the comments, and subscribe if you want more stories like this one.